So many pension funds have performed so poorly over the last 3 years. Let's take Fundsmith, quite a popular one. Why is it still doing so poorly, and what is the cause for this? When you look at the company as a whole and its poor performance, let's not just bury it for one particular year. Let's give it 3 whole years. After all, 3 years is a big chunk of your life. And if we look at what's gone wrong, we get a pretty good idea, and we've got enough data to not just condemn them any more than we'd condemn them over, say, 1 month. And they exhibit the same problems many funds have. So this has gone up 7% over the last 3 years, okay? And I don't mean annualized, I mean in total. So that's less than bank interest. They've underperformed bank interest. And there's a couple of problems that this fund and many others like it have. First of all, let's start off with the start of 2022, because we're looking at 2022, 2023, and 2024. Now, 2023 and 2024 have been phenomenal years for the market, but we'll come back to that. Let's start off with a problem that Fundsmith and many other funds that your pension might be in have had. First of all, they've had several great years as they've just basically tracked the market, okay? And as the market continued going up, they gathered lots of money and were able to market even more off the back of it. But in actual fact, it was Meta and the type which did really well. Then 2022 hit, which happens relatively infrequently, but they wiped off about, at one point, over 20% of your pension, a fifth of your pension gone in the space of less than half a year. Less than half a year. Now, that'd be worrying to anybody, okay? The reason was, like IFAs and all other fund managers, they have a fundamental conflict of interest, which is when the markets are falling, first of all, they can't tell that that's what's going to be continuing to happen. And you might say, well, yes, exactly, it's not their fault. Well, actually, what the hell are you paying them for? But more importantly, even if they can't tell, they still won't ever tell you to go into cash to sell their fund, because why would they? I mean, you'd have to withdraw money from their fund. They're not going to say to you, here, have your money back. They won't be earning fees. Same with IFAs. So in a year like 2022, they'll just continue talking up a big game and drag you lower and lower. Now, you might say, well, that's fine. It's not their job to see the future. Well, if it isn't, why don't you just do it yourself? You can just look at what they hold and just put it into your own SIP and ISA and buy the same stuff. You don't need them then. So if you do need them, what do you need them for? If you need them to be able to at least, presumably say in a bad year, not what to buy, maybe there was nothing to buy, but in a bad year like 2022, to at least say, here, don't put it into stocks, take your money back. They don't do that. They won't do that. They have a conflict of interest. They'll never do that. Okay, what's the solution? Well, as I've written in one of my many, many books, and you can get a copy of that from alpeshpatel.com/links. It's from my time writing my columns in the Financial Times and for Bloomberg TV. And as a hedge fund manager, I can give you the insider insights right now. The answer is you need to breach that conflict of interest by managing your own capital and learning how, which is pretty straightforward. You go to any broker, open a SIP or ISA or whichever country you're in, the pension funds that you can open yourself, and you can buy the same stocks they hold because it's publicly displayed on their websites, for goodness sake. It's not difficult to open an account, it's not difficult. To buy a stock is not difficult. To know what somebody owns is not difficult. So that holding the cash part, they won't do. So you might say, well, wait a minute, Alpesh, but they've recovered since then. Look, they've gone down from -20 to up 7. Yeah, but that hasn't helped you because over 3 years, you've only got a total of a 7% rise. So why were they so poor in 2023 when the NASDAQ went up 55% and the S&P went up over 25%? I think it was roughly 25%. And they do track US stocks, by the way. They've got a few of them in their portfolio. Well, the reason is they put too little money in too few of the good companies. So again, what did you pay them for? Presumably to put the right amount of money into the right stocks. Well, they failed in that. maybe to tell you when not to be in stocks. Well, we know they failed in that in 2022 anyway. So what are you paying them for? Well, you're paying them so they can send their children to private school because those fees are expensive, and you're paying them fees out of the income you earn so they can do that. So what's the answer? Well, the answer is the same as I just gave you. You need to know how to open a SIP and ISA yourself and how to buy stocks. Pretty bloody easy. If you can open an online bank account, you can do that. If you can drive a car and open an online bank account, you've got the IQ to be able to at least open a SIP or ISA. The government wants you to open your own SIP and ISA, those tax-free vehicles. What about 2024, where once again the markets were roaring? The S&P and the Nasdaq were up 30%. Surely a fund like this should have got you a 30% return in 2024. No, I'm afraid not. They roughly did about 10%. Now, my bank pays me 4.7, so they beat my bank interest, which, if that's all you want, that's fine. If you want to forgo the other 25%, that's the problem. And one of the problems they have is, once again, too little money in too many of the companies which are the right ones. They put too little in. They sort of sprayed and prayed. They kept their money, by the way, in the same companies they had last year, which aren't particularly the ones which did well. So yeah, they seem to be obsessed with Stryker and L'Oreal. I know you might think, what? Yeah, okay. Where the heck was the correct weighting in Nvidia or a Microsoft or an Apple or Amazon or Alphabet or anything like that? Well, and it's not as if these are hidden names. I mean, for goodness sake, why didn't they even just put it in an index tracker, just tracking the Nasdaq or the S&P? Well, because then that would belie the fact that they haven't got a bloody clue what they're doing. Now, they will turn that into a virtue. They will say, through the marketing spin, yeah, but we don't trade very frequently, you see, so that saves on costs. They will say, yeah, but you've got to look at it over a 10-year period. No, their best years are behind them. What happens with funds is that after a while, it's very easy for them to live off a historic reputation, get lots of money coming in, and not really have to do much. If you're earning hundreds of millions in fees over a period of years, why the hell should you break a sweat to work hard? The academic research shows, and I've published it in my books, and in my Financial Times columns, the academic research shows that time and again, private investors are loath to move from funds, just as you won't move your bank account. You just don't do it. Switching is, what people just don't do. They're lazy. Private investors are too lazy. And that's what fund managers rely on. I wrote about it first, based on the academic research, 25 years ago in this book, an international bestseller published by the Financial Times. And everything I'm telling you has been published in my Financial Times columns over the years, not specifically about Fundsmith, but about all the funds, which all have the same fundamental problem of conflict of interest, spray and pray. You just don't have the control. Who do you think cares more about your money, them or you? You do, okay? And you've been led to believe you just can't ever have the expertise they do. Well, it's not brain surgery. It's more akin to learning to drive. Is it worth your effort? Well, 7% over 3 years. You tell me. Was that what you expected when you worked hard and got up early to go to work? All those years of blood, sweat, and toil and tears in your job and dealing with some useless boss, or if you are the boss of your own business, all that risk you took, was it worth it for 7% in total over 3 years? Presumably not. Have a look at my campaignforamillion.com. It's to teach 1 million people how to add an extra million to their investments over the course of their lifetimes by just knowing some of the basics of investing, some of the basics which I used to put in my books and my Financial Times columns, but of course now, in the modern age, we put on video to keep it relevant and to teach people. Have a look at the link in the bio, contact me, we'll do a portfolio review for you. Have a look at alpeshpatel.com/links and we'll give you some insights onto what's going wrong and why. The first answer is, you've got to take more control of your own capital because, as I've said time and again, nobody cares more about your money than you do. Not me, not anyone else. You do. It's your money. You've worked hard for it. Shouldn't you be deciding where it goes and what you do with it? Okay, thank you very much.